With a 20-year reputation for clean business, Matt Glynn at Code Property Group is the first choice for real estate on the Sunshine Coast and surrounding areas. I've known Matt for a very long time from a personal level and professional level, and he is an excellent real estate agent. He's professional, he holds a high level of integrity, he presents incredibly well, and has a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to the real estate industry. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, or simply get a valuation and find out more about your current property, then give Matt a call on 0404 315 066 or matt.glynn, GLYNN at codepg.com. You won't be disappointed.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. I am in India recording this one. I've done this several times where I've had an opportunity, because obviously I'm in a foreign country, to actually sit down and go, you know what, let's get some content out to those that are listening and those that certainly take a little bit from it. And I certainly appreciate everyone that does tune into these podcasts when I do release them. And I thought it would be a great opportunity this week to follow up on a post I did earlier this week about metabolic dysfunction. Now, it sounds like a very complicated term, but it's actually not. It's very, very simple, and it's something that a lot of people struggle with but don't realize they've got it. And it's simply when your body has an inability to use fuel appropriately. So you might be eating, you might be dieting, you might be following certain plans or protocols or what you believe is the correct process to lose weight, but your body is not utilizing that fuel correctly. Therefore, there is no weight loss. In fact, there potentially is weight gain. There's probably a lot of fatigue. There's potentially brain fog, inflammation. There's a lot of things to come off the back of metabolic dysfunction, and it's when, effectively when your metabolism is not performing to an optimal level. There are ways to obviously remediate that, and it's quite simple really, but the biggest one that a lot of people overlook or somewhat have resistance to, and that is building muscle. Muscle can actually improve your metabolism. I always say, the simplest thing I always say about this is that the more muscle you have, the more food you can eat. It's as simple as that, because your body can process more calories, it can process more fuel because you've got more muscle to do so. So it's a simple equation. If you train with strength, if you have a simplistic strength training process that you follow every single week without fail, you're going to manage your weight a lot better, you're going to manage your health a lot better, you're going to think more clearly, you're going to manage fatigue a lot better, you're going to sleep better, you're going to manage stress better. It is phenomenal at how impressive and how much of a benefit strength training can be to optimal health. And when I say optimal health, everything. We're not just talking weight management here. That is a positive, of course, but we're talking about everything. We're talking about brain function. We're talking about hormonal function. We're talking about energy. We're talking about weight management. We're talking about performance. How, if I came to you, okay, random question off the street, if I came to you and said, how would you like to have more energy? How would you like to be a better worker, be a more efficient worker, be better at time management, think more clearly, sleep better, manage time more effectively, have heaps of energy? I've repeated a couple of these things. And all it would take is you to change a few things in the gym. You'd be like, oh my God, how do I do that? And the simple case is that you've just got to lift weight more. Now, the biggest thing I find when people who do a lot of cardio and maybe have an interest in lifting weight but don't know what to do or how to go about it, there's a lot of resistance. They feel they don't belong on the gym floor. They feel that they're inferior. They feel a lack of confidence, obviously not knowing what to do. They don't belong. And cardio is the safe bet, right? I having worked in commercial gyms, I see it time and time again where new members will walk into the gym and they'll beeline for the cardio because it's a safe bet. It's comfortable, it's easy, It's something that you're not going to get judged on or feel you're going to get judged on. Whereas the gym floor, you're more exposed. It makes noise. There's more people around. So there is the opportunity for potential judgment. And I get it. I've been there. I've been that person. I know exactly what that is. But when you learn to do it the right way, and when you learn to navigate the gym correctly and understand what the equipment does, what it means, how it works, how it feels when you lift weight and do it correctly, the confidence just grows. And with confidence comes more self-esteem, it comes more self-respect, more self-love, and guess what? Off the back of that, you are confident. You can feel empowered. And the health benefits of it, as I've mentioned off the top of this episode, are significant. But for some strange reason, people are still very reluctant to get on the gym floor. Like even the gym I train at, and look, I've got to make a disclaimer here that this is by no means anti-cardio or anything along those lines. Cardio has its place. Cardio is really important. Cardio is great for endurance, for fitness, for health, for heart health, for cardiovascular health. It serves its purpose. 100% it does. But when we're talking about losing weight efficiently and effectively and not having to crash diet, when we're talking about trying to manage your physique and give that quote-unquote toned look or muscular look or sculpted look, then weight training is where it's at. Weight training is what is going to achieve that for you. Because the biggest difference between the two, okay, let's break it down to bare taxes here. The biggest difference between the two, if you're eating the same, irrespective to the style of exercise that you do, with strength training, you have control over developing and maintaining muscle mass, right? With cardio, you do not. So your body does not have a magical control mechanism within it that says, okay, I'm only going to use the fuel that I've consumed. I'm not going to use any additional fuel. It's the low-hanging fruit scenario. So whenever there's low-hanging fruit, that's the one you grab first, right? So the body is exactly the same. Muscle is an easy fuel source to grab when it needs to. Fat is harder. Food is generally easy to grab as well, particularly if there's excess of it. So by ensuring that you are eating the appropriate amount and maintaining or training with muscle, then you're going to maintain it or grow it. But if you're training with a cardiovascular element to it, then the body's got to find fuel from somewhere. So it could break down muscle, and that's why, like, you think about those that are cardiovascular fit. They're very lean, they're very small, they're not overly muscular, they're quite small in stature, small in frame. Think of a marathon runner, anyone that does sort of a long distance element to their exercise. They're very much built for that, and their body has adapted over time for that. Whereas people who primarily lift weight are more muscular, more solid, they've got deeper tissue, thicker tissue, denser tissue on their physique, and they're generally healthy too. I'm not saying the cardiovascular people aren't, but from what I know and what I understand and all the knowledge and research I've read through, when you've got a lot more muscle mass, you can eat more food, you can process more food, your metabolism performs better, and off the back of that, you have a lot more success in a lot of other elements. Great example, Joey Chestnut, world hot dog eating champion. He is incredibly famous now for having won the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, I don't know how many times in a row, over a dozen I'd say. And he's not the biggest dude in the world, but he has this ability to consume food really quickly and not fill up. And it's because one of the big things, and he's done interviews on this, one of the biggest things he does to manage this is strength training. Okay, he eats a ridiculous amount of food. He obviously trains himself to eat that amount of food, but he also strength trains to support that. It's really quite a logical thing when you start to break it down. So what does more muscle mean? Well, more muscle means you can store more glycogen. So basically you are constantly having reserves of energy within your system. You have better insulin sensitivity. You have a higher resting metabolism. So when you're sleeping, or when you're really, like, you're lazing around on the couch or whatever, your body's still burning through calories, and it's doing it at an efficient rate. You've got less visceral fat, so fat around your organs. That's a concern for anyone who obviously carries a bit more weight. Visceral fat and subcutaneous fat are quite concerning in individuals if they allow that to grow and get to a point where there may need to be intervention in terms of surgery or some other form of medical intervention. So by keeping up with regular strength training at a high intensity level, you're going to keep that down. Lower inflammation. The more muscle mass you have on your body, the less health concerning inflammation you can have. And inflammation is rigorous. It's ongoing. You get inflammation in your joints, you get inflammation in your brain, you get inflammation around your organs, all the tissue. It's significant, but it can be remediated and it can be controlled through regular strength training with more muscle. Muscle tissue uses 80% of glycogen in your body after eating, whereas if you have less muscle but you still eat a similar amount of food, well, where's that food going to go in terms of storage? It's going to go straight to body fat. Therefore, you're going to get more body fat on your frame. It's very, very common. So strength training, as we know, it has significant health benefits, but it also controls your glucose levels. So, diabetes can be pretty much reversed in some instances. Your hip to waist ratio. So a lot of people are concerned about their love handles, their stomach, their where they store their weight, and this is very hormonal based. But if you regularly strength train, it can have an impact on the way you look, your appearance over time. Fat distribution. If you just overeat or eat in a surplus without any consistent strength training, your body will just distribute your fat to wherever it needs to. It's almost like reverse low-hanging fruit. Whereas if you're strength training on a regular basis and you do intend to put on weight, or you put on weight for whatever reason, it will generally distribute it in a much even manner, so your shape is maintained. So, something as simple as 12 weeks of lifting can correctly reduce insulin resistance independent of weight loss. So you can actually make significant improvements simply by commencing with a 12-week program. And I'm not saying a 12-week challenge. That's not what I'm indicating here. It's a 12-week program. So lifting correctly, good range of motion, good engagement, good intensity. A lot of people will go to the gym and lift weight. I love that. That is fantastic. But are you lifting with intent? Are you lifting with the idea of improving, of progressing, of lifting more, increasing your volume, increasing your strength metrics? These things can have a profound effect on how your body looks 12 weeks down the track, 6 months down the track. It is amazing. I work with individuals all the time, and often their weight on the scales doesn't shift too much. But when we do photo comparisons, or when we look at their measurements, you can actually see significant change. And that's something to be really proud of, because they've stuck to the plan, they've followed along, and they've had great success. So where to start? And the beauty about weight training is there is no bias towards age here. Anyone can do it. Anyone can train in the gym. Gyms are very welcoming, they're very community based. And the beauty about strength training equipment is there's basic equipment, there's intermediate equipment, and there's advanced equipment. You can start off with just using dumbbells and barbells. You can start off with doing body weight, and you will have some improvements, that you'll have some growth simply because you haven't done it before, and you can create a lot of stimulus just from what you weigh and the type of training that you do. It is incredibly effective, but focus when you first start out. If this is something that you would like to do, focus on full body compound movements. Cover the entire body. There are a lot of large muscle areas on the body that you can train, and train to fatigue. Prioritize form over weight. So important that you get your form right from the start, and that you learn to progress with good technique, and track your progress. That's something that a lot of people fail to do. I see it all the time in the gym when I'm there training myself, is that no one records what they're doing. They don't record their weight, they don't record how many sets, how many reps, what they've lifted, their overall volume, their 1RMs. These things can play a pivotal role in your ability to progress and understand where you're at, what you need to do better, and what exercises you're progressing with, what exercises you're plateauing with, and what needs more work. And it's a great way to really improve. Don't focus on the scales. There's no need to step on the scales every single day and have that sort of affect your happiness, have that affect your mood. A lot of people have so much emphasis on what that number represents, yet there are so many factors at play here that can contribute to the scale weight going up. It's not that you've gotten fat. There's probably 9 or 10 other reasons why the scale weight has gone up. So you need to understand that and really have a good emphasis as to why that's happening. But look, back to the point at hand, metabolic dysfunction is very, very common. If you've tried to diet and not lost weight, this could be the reason why. And it's simply because your metabolism is not performing correctly, and you need to change things up in order to make that better. And it could simply be a case of introducing more strength training to your regime. Now, I've had it before where people have said, well, I do body pump a couple of times a week. People think that body pump is a form of resistance training. And look, if you were to argue the point, you could say, yes, it is, because you are lifting with weight. I completely agree. But the emphasis is not on technique. It's not on progressive overload or achieving hypertrophy. It's actually just about getting a significant pump in the shortest amount of time and just thrashing out the weights. No one's monitoring your technique, no one's monitoring your range, no one's making sure that you're doing it in a safe manner. And this is with full due respect to the trainers out there that do body pump or any other fitness-based class, but because you're managing 20 to 30 people at a time, you're not going to go around and correct individuals. That's what personal training's for. So that would be something that I would certainly recommend and certainly guide people towards. There's this resistance out there about spending the money on health for some strange reason, but cars come and go, houses come and go, fancy shop handbags come and go, technology comes and goes, but your health is once. You have one life. And if you invest in it now, it's going to thank you at the back end. You don't want to be the 80-year-old who is relying on a walker and has trouble getting in and out of bed, has to have their kids come and buy them their groceries once a week because they don't have the energy or the strength to get to the shops. Like, things like that are going to happen to those that are not taking care of themselves now. So as morbid or as impactful as that may be, that's the truth of the matter. So if you're listening to this, I would urge you to get into strength training. Engage a trainer to walk you through it. You can pay trainers for a one-off session. Get them to write you a program. Follow that program to a T. Record your own training metrics. Record your weight, your reps, your sets. Record the overall volume. Look at ways to improve and continue to chase those numbers. Challenge yourself. Set yourself the goals of what you want to achieve in terms of training numbers and strength training metrics, and look for ways to get better in that space. It's going to serve you really well. But for now, if this sounds like you, reach out. I'm happy to have a free consultation with you in relation to what potentially could be metabolic dysfunction. And you've had years and years and years of where you've yo-yo dieted, you've had no success in terms of getting weight off. Maybe you've actually put weight on and you just don't understand why, because you're not eating much of food or anything. It could be a real thing that you just have to overcome. And the unfortunate thing is, you're probably going to have to put weight on to get weight off. You're going to have to get your metabolism up to an optimal level where additional food and calories is required. It's like stoking a fire. The more fuel you put on it, the bigger the fire gets. Well, in this instance, in order to make your metabolism perform better, we may have to feed it up more. But in the long run, it's going to benefit you, because then you're going to be able to bring the weight back down again under a controlled circumstance that's actually quite healthy for you to do so. So if this is you, reach out. Happy to have a chat to you. DM me, send me a message, and we'll obviously have a chat and we'll work out what's going on. And then if coaching is for you, great, I'll make that recommendation. If you'd rather not and do your own thing, I completely respect that as well, but at least you've got all balls in the court to make a very informed and educated decision. So I'll finish up there. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do hope you've enjoyed this particular podcast. If you are interested in any coaching services, please jump on my website. I've got the membership, I've got lifestyle coaching, I've got bodybuilding coaching, I've got fitness business coaching. If any of those are of interest to you, please either contact me through the website or DM me directly, and I'll happily provide you with more information. And like I said, free consultations are available as well. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please screenshot and share it across your stories. Please tag myself at Paul's Body Engineering. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Matt Glynn at Code Property for his ongoing support of the podcast too, and continued sponsorship. It's been really appreciated. So if you're selling or buying and you'd like further information regarding real estate, Matt is a truly genuine and amazing bloke. I've known him since high school, and he's one of the good guys when it comes to real estate, that's for sure. So thank you once again, and as I say to every client every single day, have a great day.
Experience the difference with Matt Glynn at Code Property Group. With a 20-year reputation of a clean business, Matt is your guy when it comes to all things real estate. Make sure you give him a call now on 0404 315 066.